to my channel. Today we're gonna talk some more about weight loss, obviously. And today I wanted to specifically talk about weight loss surgery. I'm gonna go over the 4 types of surgery, and the one I'm going to go into the most detail of is the one that I have had myself, which is a gastric band. Just want to say I am not a weight loss doctor, I'm not a weight loss specialist. This is, not medical advice. And if you have any interest in these surgeries yourself, my advice is always to go do your own research as much as possible, and then go and see a weight loss specialist or a weight loss doctor, armed with all the questions that you can ask from your research. And just one little thing, apologies if you hear a tiny bit of meowing. Someone isn't very happy this evening, my little guest star from last night. Now she goes on cue. So to start with, we have a gastric balloon, and it's not a super common procedure. Basically, you swallow a small balloon that expands in your stomach. It's an inflatable device that's there temporarily. Most of the time they do an x-ray to make sure that the placement of the balloon is okay and everything. It's supposed to create a feeling of fullness faster and to help you eat less. So this is a very temporary measure and will only be in the patient for about 6 months. I know a handful of people who've had this done before, and it's generally people that only need to lose a small amount of weight. You wouldn't be having this procedure if you had hundreds of pounds to lose, or even in my experience over 60, 70 pounds to lose, 3 or 4 stone for UK people. Obviously the device, the last 6 months, it's removed with an endoscopy. And while you have the device, you also are having counselling and nutritional support. The types of people that they really avoid this for is anyone who has any sort of intestinal issues, or IBS, IBD, delayed gastric emptying. They really probably wouldn't proceed with the procedure if you had anything like that, or if you're a patient who's on any type of blood thinner, which is obviously a no-go for any surgery. But this isn't actually really a technical surgery, as there's no knife, scalpel. Most of the studies that I've seen, it's around 1 to 2 kilograms in the short term, and after about 3 months most patients seem to lose around 4 to 5 kilograms. So again, it's not a huge amount of weight. I mean, that's not even a stone. Fine. Growing up in America, UK, sometimes the pounds, kilograms, stone, everything gets all mixed and blurred together. The next one I'm gonna kind of skip in the order they go. Gastric band would normally be next, but I'm gonna leave that till last because that's the one I had done. Gastric bypass, the Ruinia, is one of the most common procedures. If you watch any shows, My 600 Pound Life, even just one episode, Dr. Narzardin, who does all these surgeries, he gives a fantastic explainer of the surgery. It's the same one, like basically copied into every episode. But he really does like a little brief explanation of the stomach is divided with a smaller pouch being made. That's the stomach that's used, and the larger remnants is kind of made into another pouch. The smaller pouch that is your stomach, but it only is about 30 milliliters, so it really doesn't hold a lot, is then arranged and connected to your small intestines. Just going back to the BMIs for a second there, a lot of patients who, if they are just under the cusp of that BMI of 40, if they have a BMI between 35 and 40, and they have a comorbidity such as type 2 diabetes or hypertension, something like that, they will proceed with the surgery for something like that if you're just not at that 40 for your BMI. This surgery, I mean, the prices are all over the place. It can be done on insurance, but you really have to have tried everything else. And here in the UK, to use the NHS, you really had to, you have to have proved you've tried everything diet-wise for it to be covered for the NHS. And with Insurance Companies America and with the NHS, it can take a very, very long time to get the surgery. So, and there's all types of checklists you have to go through. Like you have to meet with a counselor, psychiatrist. I'm not quite sure which one, but or if all of them. But you have to get some sort of psych eval done. You have to get blood work done. You have to do a diet before to prove that you can lose the weight, because these surgeries, you can really, really hurt yourself if you aren't ready for them, or if you don't follow the doctor's instructions afterwards. Again, my 600-pound life, Dr. Now, his really famous saying is to patients who are obviously 600 pounds and more is normally, I want you to lose 30 pounds in 1 month. And that's doing a 900 to 1200 calorie diet, no carbs, and if you can't do that for a few months with an end line of getting your surgery, then they're not going to proceed with the surgery. And again, there's other things that can stop it, psych, etc. The figures that if you do it privately in the UK, I've seen everything from around 10,000 to about 15,000, but I have seen upper scale of 25,000. A YouTuber that I really like, Michael V. Petty, he's had actually, I think he had the sleeve and then bypass, or the bypass and the sleeve. I can't remember. I'm pretty sure it was bypass and then the sleeve. And I remember a couple of days ago he did a live, and he said all in all his surgery was about $20,000. Your stomach again is reduced about 10% of what it was before. It's a hard surgery. Like, you have to stay in hospital at least one night. I think it's normally more though. On the show, they normally, my 600-pound life, they normally show it a few days. But yeah, that one, the gastric bypass, has been a successful surgery for a long time. Moving on to the next one on the list is gastric sleeve, and that is also one that Dr. Now does on the show, and it takes about 90% of your stomach away, and they call it a sleeve because it just leaves you with this kind of skinny tube for your stomach, and it looks like a sleeve, so that's why they call it that. It was originally done on patients who were deemed too high risk for bypass, because obviously not only do you have to lose weight before the surgery to prove that you can do it, it's also sometimes to bring your risk down from anesthesia, because putting someone who is morbidly obese under anesthesia can have literally deadly consequences. So this surgery, I don't think it's quite as invasive, and it doesn't take as long too, so they don't have to be under anesthesia for as long. It's the sleeve is the most common bariatric surgery performed in the entire world, and it obviously decreases the gastric volume. It changes the gut peptides, and the remaining size is about 150 milliliters. The cost for this one seemed to be similar to gastric bypass, if anything a little bit more, like maybe 1,000 or 2,000 more, but very similar. And the final one that I'm going to talk about is the surgery that I had, gastric band, which when I had my surgery, which was a few years ago, I was right around that level where I was still small enough to get a band, but I was at the lower side of, if I really wanted to, they would have let me get a sleeve or bypass. And just to start from the beginning, when I went privately, I got mine done in the UK. I had to do the liver shrinking diet beforehand, which was basically, very low calorie, no carbs, and the appealing side to me about the surgery was that it was very it could be done keyhole, so there wasn't as much recovery time. There were small scars. Everything kind of stays in place, like you're not rerouting intestines and not taking out part of your stomach. You're literally putting in this device. I always explain it to people like if you imagine like a floaty that a kid goes in a pool with, it's like that band around your stomach. So if this is your stomach, the band goes around like that and creates a small pouch, and then the rest of your stomach is here, and the band is like my bracelet around there, and it has a port that comes off it, and the port is like if you have a pair of headphones and a volume control in it, it's like that, and it sits just right. Sometimes I'm like, if you want to feel it, you can feel it. It sits just on the outside of my rib cage. If I even just really lightly push, I can feel it. And when they put the band in, it's completely empty, so it's deflated. And whenever I go to get it filled, it holds 15 milliliters of water, and the first time they'll normally fill it about 3 milliliters, and each time you go back they'll do 1, 2, sometimes 3, and as you fill it more and more, it gets tighter and tighter and tighter. So basically I went in, my surgery all in all cost probably about 7,500, 8,000. I went into the hospital. I was in the hospital for 1 day, and where I live is very remote, so I had to fly there the night before, went and had some labs and things, had the surgery, stayed one night in the hospital, got up the next day, got in a cab to the airport and got on the plane and had to come back by myself after having the surgery. And I mean, it was painful, but it after a few days, I had the surgery on a Wednesday, stayed that night the Wednesday, came home the Thursday, and then I went back to work on the Monday. And yeah, I just had like some bruising, and it was a bit uncomfortable sitting at my desk, but it wasn't like unbearable pain. The thing with me was I don't think that I was mentally there yet to get the surgery, and I didn't take advantage of it. It basically just, I had it in me and I got it filled twice, which wasn't really doing anything. So about 8 months ago, I started getting it filled again, and now I have 11 milliliters in it out of the 15, and I think that works great for me, like, because you have this little pouch, that's what they normally call it, at the top of your stomach, that the band is controlling. When you eat and it's moving, the food's moving down, and the band is making it so your body thinks, oh, the rest of my stomach is full, I'm full. You have to eat very slowly, and it's kind of a joke in my family that I've like always been the big one, like I eat really, really slowly. My family always make fun of me in restaurants, and you have to, especially when it's tighter like it is now, you have to eat like very small pieces. There's certain things that I just don't eat anymore. I would never eat like crusty bread or like rock candy, anything that's really hard, because it can get stuck, and I'll talk about that in a minute. But the top of your top stomach, your pouch, holds about half a cup of food. So that's normally what I go with. If I'm making scrambled eggs or whatever I'm making, that's how I normally measure out my food. So as I said, it's adjustable. The top holds about half a cup of food. When I do get it adjusted, literally it's just saline in a needle, and the doctor finds but I've had it done by a nurse before too. They find the little port, and I kind of always think of it like those, the doorbells that have like the little gray button and you push it in. Like they put the needle in there and then just insert the saline, and it goes through the tube and just fills up the band. And that's how it works. And if say I get it done, on a Sunday, which is quite common, I'll normally eat even slower than usual Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, just until things it never really causes any unsettle or anything, but just because I know it's tighter and I'm trying to get used to what the new thing is. And I was always told, when I'm having food, like what a lot of people do, because like I said before, you can get things stuck. A lot of people will have like just soups or shakes, and I do a lot of meal replacement with shakes, and I do eat soup and stuff a lot. But they say you should try and avoid doing a lot of just liquids, because that just passes straight through, and it's your stomach muscles aren't having to do any work to push it through, so they're not sending those messages to your brain saying you've eaten, you're full. In my opinion, the only downside to The other surgeries as well, there's kind of no backtracking. Like, I mean, you can really stretch it out again, your stomach or the sleeve, but things like dumping syndrome, like I know people who have the sleeve, a friend of mine, or two of my friends have it, and say they took 2 bites of a Mars bar, it will, your body just can't process all that the glucose, and it just will send you into kind of like flu, like you'll get hot and cold, sweating, shivers, you'll throw up, like you feel horrible. So that's what I'm saying, like sometimes you can really hurt yourself. The downside to the band is that if you get anything stuck, oh my goodness, like there is no pain like it sometimes. I've never like overeaten it's caused any issues, but there's been one time that I ate something and it was an omelet too, which I eat all the time, that just didn't agree with me. I think it was like the butter or oil or something that was used, and there's a few times that I just haven't chewed a piece of chicken properly, and what happens is it gets stuck and it feels like absolute agony. It's the worst pain I've ever experienced, and you feel like you really, really, really need to burp, and then you also get this pain in your back, and this will go on for like 3 hours. Like it is awful. Luckily it only really mildly happened to me once at work, but the other times I so thankfully have been at home, and because you're obviously still breathing and still swallowing your saliva, they call it the slimes when this happens, which is a disgusting word for it. And you know, this might be TMI for some people, or if they're a little bit squeamish, basically because your saliva has nowhere to go and it kind of is pooling on top of whatever is stuck, you basically vomit this kind of white foam and hot slime. Like it's really gross and very painful, and it's horrible. So the one time it happened to me because it was just something didn't agree with me that I ate, and anytime I eat chicken quite a lot, I get into the smallest bites, and I also am one of those people that I talk a lot. So even so, like I don't, because I can't eat that much, and because I'm on a diet, like such a strict diet, I really don't go out to eat that much, and if I do, I get like an appetizer or something, but a lot of the time I just won't even eat because I'll be talking so much that I'm not eating mindfully, and you really have to cut your food into tiny pieces, and you really have to chew it. And again, this is something that you could really hurt yourself with. And even if you had, I would never get my band tightened to 15, but even if you had your band tightened to 15, and it's also I don't really get that hungry, because it's kind of always there, like telling you like you have food, you're not starving. But you could graze like all day. You could just can't, like, as long as you didn't sit down and have like 2 Big Macs, 2 large fries, and 2 milkshakes, like you could sit and just eat crisps, chips, like fries, anything like that. You could, or candy, sweets, chocolate bars, like you can just sit and just eat all day, like small amounts. So I mean, there's nothing that the surgery, like before I got it, like I honestly thought, you know, oh my god, like this is just gonna be a fix to everything, and you know, everything will be taken care of. But it's really not. It's a tool that can be used like any other tool. And yes, am I glad that I had the surgery? Absolutely, 100%. Yes. Would I get it again? Yes. Would I have waited until I was mentally prepared to do the follow through, do the work? Yes. Like I said, I went to a private place, and obviously I'm not going to mention their name or anything, but they had one appointment with me before I had the surgery, and basically were like, oh, you're fat, you want surgery? Okay, check. Here, fill out this form, sign this waiver. They phoned me once to tell me I needed to pay, and I was at work that day, so I, you know, just the call went to voicemail, and they left me a voicemail saying, if you don't pay by, and they're like you know, I went to like the best place, and they said, oh, you need to pay by today or the surgeon will take you off the book. So I was like, okay. And I paid, I went over, and they, because you do this liver shrinking diet, they say to you, you need to, they run labs, and they say, you know, you need to be at this range, and you need to have lost this weight from before, and your liver function tests have to be this. And they basically said, oh yeah, if we don't call you, just come tomorrow at 6 a.m. like normal. It's kind of like, well, can you tell me a time you're like a cutoff time that I'm good? Or because again, I was alone in staying in a hotel in a place that, you know, I didn't know anyone, and I'd never been, and then I met the surgeon that morning, and he basically was like, okay, yep, you're fat, yep, I'll do the surgery. And you know, he asked me if I had any questions, and obviously I'd done like all my research and everything, like I knew what was going on. And I had the surgery. The anesthesiologist was really nice. That's pretty much all I remember. You wake up and you're like, oh, this is painful. I like slept, got up, get to the bathroom, like got changed, that was it. And then the next day I was ready to go, and I mean, they called me about the fills, because you get like 2 years of fills, but because I had to fly over to the place all the time, I was just avoiding it. Then I get them done. There's a really good friend of mine, I should ask her if I can give her a shout out. If she says yes, then I'll mention her place next time, because she does a lot of stuff at her clinic, and she has a weight loss part of her clinic, and she one of the doctors, he said that he would fill it for me, and obviously it's a charge, but it's cheaper for me to pay to get it done here than to fly over for a 10-minute appointment to get saline put in my injection and stay the night or fly back or whatever. But yeah, that's basically the story about my weight loss surgery. And like I said, it's a tool. It's a great tool. When I think about it now, do I think sometimes would I have got like the sleeve? Or the big thing for me was the recovery. Like I didn't have, like they wanted you to like have someone who's going to be staying in your home, and like my sister, one of my sisters lives in America, but my other sister, and I'm very close to my family, she doesn't, for me to see her, I have to go on a plane. And she just had a baby too, so it wasn't feasible, and it just, I would have had to take way longer off work, which at the time the project that I was doing was like very time sensitive, and it was more money, but it was more the recovery time and all of that. Like I would have had to stay longer in England in the hotel and all that stuff too. But if anyone has any questions at all about my surgery, because I'm again not giving any weight loss, I'm not a weight loss specialist, but if you have any questions about my surgery, about anything I went through during the surgery, anything I do now, what the feels are like, what I feel like, ask away, comment below. Please consider subscribing to my channel. Please consider liking, commenting, and please follow me on Instagram, the.ash.silver. And all of you out there on your weight loss journeys, good luck, and I'll see you guys again soon. Take care. Bye. Hi guys, just wanted to say thanks for watching the video. Again, still learning with the editing, but also Miss Gloria apologizes for any meowing that you heard in the background and her checking her nails and scratching her post. Unfortunately, she does not like when she is not the center of attention, so thanks for bearing with her and bearing with me. Have a great day, guys. Thanks for watching. Bye.